Hi everyone, welcome back to my page. This week I wanted to discuss what boundaries are, how to recognize them, and how to set them. Because I feel like boundaries is something that I discuss a lot in my videos, and it's really the basis and foundations of establishing who you really are and your likes and dislikes. So if you don't have solid, clear boundaries, then it's very difficult to grow and become more self-aware and develop your mental and emotional self. If you haven't been to my page before, welcome. On this page, I discuss personal development, mental and emotional well-being. So welcome to my page. Please subscribe and keep up to date with my content. Boundaries. What are they? Boundaries are you asserting your choices over someone else's choices. And it's just you establishing what you like and you dislike. But there are a few confusions about boundaries, and I wanted to clarify them. That boundaries are definitely not there to change other people. On the contrary, it's you accepting and seeing what other people are about, and you making a choice for yourself whether you can accept those things or not participate, not stick around to witness that. That's what boundaries are. They're not necessarily there to change anyone else. Another thing that a boundary is not is you setting these expectations on someone and then expecting them to do things you want them to do. That is not a boundary either. That is you just projecting your expectations on someone and being disappointed that they haven't met them. And lastly, what a boundary is not, it's definitely not an ultimatum. It doesn't mean that if you set those boundaries, that's an ultimatum for someone. That you either do this or you'll never see me again, or that if you don't do this, then it means that, you feel a certain way about me. Absolutely not. A boundary really comes after a request. So you don't just go and set a boundary. You first ask the person and communicate what you would ideally like them to do, or what you would choose to do, or what you would appreciate them doing. And then if that request hasn't been met and they let you down, that's when you then set a boundary. And if that boundary is broken, then that's not their job to meet your expectations or do anything for you. That's then for you to decide whether you can accept that or not once you have set your boundary. Obviously, we're all different people and we all have very different boundaries and limits. That all depends on your upbringing, childhood, background, personality, and a number of other things. So boundaries and limits are not universal. It's not one rule for everybody. Everybody has their own choices and their own values and boundaries that they want to set. So I'm gonna just try and categorize them into a few different sections so that it's easier for us to recognize them. And the first one would be physical boundaries. So something that someone is in your personal space and you've told them, you're making me feel uncomfortable, and they're disrespected that, they don't really listen, they're still in your personal space, they're really making you feel uncomfortable, so physically they're getting in your way. Or that you've borrowed things of people, like physical materials and items, and they haven't returned it in the same condition, or that they always take things from you, but when it comes to you asking for something to borrow of them, then that's a problem and they're not okay with that. So it's disrespecting your physical material things. So the next category is mental and emotional boundaries. This is where a lot of people feel like their boundaries are being broken. And this is when you're being disrespected, you're being humiliated, you're being spoken to a certain way. If you're expressing your feelings and emotions and thoughts, you're being dismissed. It's being invalidated, so someone's gaslighting you for expressing how you really feel. Your thoughts and feelings are not taken into account. You are constantly put down and you're made to feel guilty, and you just, all in all, don't feel good when you are being yourself around these people, whoever that is that's breaking your boundaries. So it's important to pay attention and see who's making you feel uneasy, because that's a way to then later apply and maintain your boundaries. And the last one would be time and energy. So where it's sort of a one-sided friendship, so you're constantly making the effort and you're expected to make the effort, but that effort and that time isn't reciprocated back. So if you don't call and text that person, they don't call and text you. And you have to always be the one that reaches out first. Or if someone constantly asks you to do stuff for them and they expect you to drop anything that you're doing and just be ready and available for them. And you've just had enough because you haven't set a boundary and your generosity is now being taken advantage of, and you're constantly, just because you've done it once or twice for someone, they are now expecting you to always do them. So they're always expecting you to put in time and energy, and that's never given back to you. So these are some of the ways or categories for you to kind of point out in the relationships around you and the people who are close to you where you felt a little bit uneasy, and you've analyzed and looked back at your relationships and you've seen that, you know what, I really don't feel good when this person does something or says something or expects something of me. Now see who those people are and see what in those relationships makes you feel uncomfortable and what sort of category it falls under. It's not about labeling, but it's just making it easier for you guys to pick up if you are feeling like your boundaries are being broken, where that boundary is being broken. Is it something that you're expected to do? Is it something that someone's disrespecting you? And so how you can address it and fix it. So once you've recognized who and which relationships make you feel uneasy and uncomfortable and feel like you come as second best and the other person is always the priority, is how they want to do things, is what they want, when they want it, is everything on their terms, then that's where probably your boundaries are being broken, or that you need to set healthy boundaries so that that relationship or that friendship is mutually beneficial for the both of you, so that there is some sort of a sense of balance, that it's a give and take. Because if it's constantly one way, then it is not a fair or healthy relationship to be in. That's no longer breaking boundaries, that's just someone taking advantage of you and abusing you. So you need to understand where those boundaries are being broken. Once you've recognized them, the next thing is to apply those boundaries. And remember, when you apply those boundaries, it's never going to be easy, because you are changing the pattern of how things are done. And if someone's very used to getting things out of you in a certain way, or used to speaking to you in a certain way, and you suddenly put your foot down, it is not to get their behavior to change, it is for you to say to them that this I find unacceptable. So please be aware of it and do something about it. I am requesting you to do that. If they then go ahead and break that again, then it's your decision, it's your choice to make whether you want to stick around and tolerate that sort of behavior towards you, or you're going to stick to your boundaries and remove yourself from that situation because you've already addressed this and said that this is unacceptable to you. And everybody has free choice, and they chose to go ahead and disrespect that boundary. So then now the choice is yours. Are you going to respect your own boundary? Or are you going to be just wishy-washy and just go with the flow and think, oh, it's fine, you know what, it's okay? Because when that happens, is when the other person realizes that you don't respect your word, therefore they don't respect your word. And so it's a knock-on effect. So when you set boundaries, it's as much for other people to know your likes and dislikes as it is for you. So that's why it's so important that once you recognize these boundaries and you apply them, that you maintain them. Because it just shows your integrity to yourself, whether you can keep your own word and teach people how to respect you. So when you apply the boundaries, like I said, it's going to get uncomfortable because you're changing things. And people who really truly love and respect you will come to terms with those changes, adapt and accept. And those who don't and really find it hard to accept and respect your boundaries and understand that you feel a certain way, therefore they need to respect your feelings. So if they don't feel that way towards you, then they were never there for your well-being or genuinely cared for you. They only cared of the things that you could provide for them. And if that's the case, why do you really want those people around you anyway? You have to really think about, okay, I'm going to set these boundaries. And if people who care for me people that care for me will respect it. And those who don't, then I know how they feel about me. And that's, again, my boundary, and it's a choice that I have to make. Do I still want to surround myself with people who don't respect my boundaries? So the stages are recognizing them, applying the boundaries, and then maintaining them. And maintaining them won't be easy, because there will be times where you will feel pressured, or you don't want to offend the other person, you don't want to upset the other person, you don't want to lose them, and you feel like, if I say that, that's so rude. But what you're doing is prioritizing their wants and needs above your own. And all in all, you're not really benefiting in any way or being fulfilled from this relationship or friendship, because you're just doing things out of obligation, not out of choice. So if you're worried about setting these boundaries because you might lose that person was never really there for you in the first place. They were there for themselves. If they respect your boundaries and reciprocate that, and so meet you halfway, that means that they weren't aware that maybe they were taking advantage, or that it was more of a one-sided thing. It just fell into a pattern. And once you speak up, they see it from your perspective and they respect that. So you have to stick to your guns, and you have to maintain those boundaries, because like I said, if you don't, then nobody else will. And once you've established those, everything falls back into a more harmonious, balanced pattern. There may be a little bit of a shift and a little bit of discomfort, but that's expected, and you should expect that. And then once they're set, and you know your likes and dislikes, other people will get to know your likes and dislikes, and there will be a mutual respect and understanding. I hope that this video helped you guys understand how to recognize boundaries and how to apply them, because it is very, very important in establishing you as the person that you are, and things that you like and things that you will accept and will not accept. And from that, you could work on other areas of your personality and of your emotions that you would like to develop. But the basis of anything that you want to build on has to come from healthy limits and boundaries. I hope you guys enjoyed this. Please join me for another video next week. So press the subscribe button, like and comment on this video, and I will see you guys very soon. Mwah.